The time has finally come for us to battle our lovely NRC staff, in so much as a series of educational combat challenges will let us, in the Arcane Combat Drill event series. We can expect some fantastical rewards for our efforts tackling that's right, 7 maps of increasing difficulty. There are a ton of goodies on the table, so even though this event series is endgame content, I recommend that players of all levels attempt it and do their best because who knows, you might surprise yourself with just how far you can go. But before I get too ahead of myself, let's discuss what an arcane combat drill even is and how to play it, as well as strategies for making your way to the top. Arcane Combat Drills are an event series where players can navigate several different maps composed of battle challenges to earn various rewards. Each event features one of the NRC staff, who will also have a special card available to summon in a limited time banner. The featured character will also have VIP status during the event, which we'll discuss in greater detail later, but for now, just read VIP card as support card with an asterisk. There are 7 maps in total, with the first being the easiest and smallest, and the last being the biggest and most difficult, with all the others falling somewhere in between. Every map also comes with a unique set of rewards which can be claimed by players who complete specific challenges during their run. Once you've successfully completed a map, you'll receive all of the rewards you've earned, and you can even replay it again for more, although the replay rewards are far less exciting. If you've reached the main story of Book 7 or participated in the last event, you'll recognize the lovely hexagonal tile maps and be right at home. However, if not, let me introduce you to the battle map system. Battle maps are maps of hexagonal tiles, where each tile contains either a battle minigame, story piece, or special reward. The ultimate goal is to clear the map by making your way from the start tile to the goal tile by whatever route strikes your fancy. In the Arcane Combat Drill event series, a successful clear will reward you with another battle map, except this one's a little bit bigger and a little bit tougher than the last. Since this is an Arcane Combat guide, all of the footage will be from the event series, so there will be no story spoilers here. However, both contexts use the same exact system, so if you haven't reached Book 7 yet, this overview will also help you prepare for when you do. Now then, to move between tiles, you'll have to use a movement point and resolve the effects of that tile. For instance, if you move onto a battle tile, you'll have to use a movement point to get there and then clear the battle minigame to stay on that tile. You can only move to tiles that are adjacent to the ones you've cleared, so at the start of the map, you'll not have very many options. But once you've cleared a path, you can move to any tile adjacent to that path, even if it's far behind you. You'll only use these movement points when taking on a new tile, so you can move between and along already cleared paths without draining your point bank. Which is really nice since in Arcane Combat Drills, one of these points, called advancement points, takes 30 minutes to recover, and you can only hold 10 at any given time. When using these advancement points to move to different tiles, you'll encounter battles, of course, but you'll also discover different effects too. Some tiles offer physical rewards like gems, some heal, and some others give out map boosts and buffs which will help you take on the tougher challenges as you progress. Once you've made your way over to and defeated the boss battle on the goal tile, you'll have won the map, and all of the reward items you've collected along the way will be added into your inventory. You do not have to clear every single tile on a map to challenge the boss either. You just need to be adjacent to that tile. So, that all sounds simple enough, right? But of course, there is a catch. You see, these battle maps limit the number of characters you can use in your team compositions, so you won't have your full card library to work with. You'll also notice that these cards have an HP bar attached to them, which you normally don't see in the card selection screen. This is because as you battle, any HP you lose during a battle will be divided between your team members and subtracted from each card's HP. If a card's HP drops to 0, it will have, fainted, let's say, and you won't be able to use it in any upcoming battles for the remainder of that run. There are usually healing spaces on a map that will randomly heal 5 of your damaged cards, and sometimes there are revive spaces that will revive 3 random cards to 50% HP. So you're not completely out of options if this happens to you. However, I'd recommend you bring healing cards to this event. At a certain point, healers just become essential for surviving these gauntlets, so please bring them with you. If all else fails, you can use gems and retry tickets to fully restore up to 5 cards of your choice, but as a mostly free-to-play girly, I'd recommend doing everything in your power to not have to do this as much as possible. With that said, that's the basic gist of what you're doing in these events or in the main story. You're just trying to get through the gauntlet of battles to reach the end while picking up the rewards you want along the way. In the overview, I showed a couple of tiles and their effects, but let's take a second to go over the UI and tile effects in greater detail, shall we? For the Arcane Combat map specifically, outside of the start and goal tiles, which are self-explanatory, there are 6 other unique ones. You've got the battle tiles, map tiles, reward tiles, target tiles, healing tiles, and revive tiles. We'll start with the battle tiles, which look like this since they are the most prevalent. When selected, you'll be met with a screen that gives you an overview of the battle you'll face on that tile. The star rating reflects the difficulty of the battle with a minimum of 1 star and a maximum of 5. The enemy HP shows how much HP the enemy has, and the buffs debuffs line will disclose if there are any specific buffs or debuffs the enemy will be using. If the battle looks good to you, you can tap OK and go to the team selection screen. Set up your team as you would for any other battle and go to town. Once you've succeeded, you'll be able to take that tile and move forward. Map effect tiles look like this and grant buffs to you or debuffs to your enemies. These will be applied to every battle you challenge after you obtain the effect. However, these are unique to the map that you're currently on, so your Heart's Level map effects, like this one, will not be carried over to the Savannah Claw map, and the Savannah Claw effects won't carry over to Octavanel, and so on and so forth. However, because these will affect all battles on the map, it can be good to pick these up as early as possible because it will make your life a little bit easier, particularly when taking on those tougher battles. You do not have to fight a battle to get these rewards either, so they also double as a free-ish movement space. Reward tiles are battle tiles that function in the exact same way as normal battle tiles, however, they will also give you rewards once they've been completed successfully. These rewards will be hidden from you at the start and will only be revealed once the tile is cleared. But who doesn't love free stuff, right? Because you're getting free stuff, the battles are generally a bit tougher than the normal ones would be, but they're absolutely worth tackling if you're looking to pick up any of those SSR perfumes or gems or maybe even some friendship stickers. In Arcane Combat, if you've already cleared this tile in a previous map run, you'll receive a set amount of thaw marks for clearing it again on your next run, so these maps can also be good for farming up thaw marks too. Target tiles are special battle tiles that will give you a boss fight buff for your team or a debuff to the boss. These battles are quite difficult, but the effects they give for the boss battle can be invaluable, so definitely try to clear these before taking on that goal. However, I recommend obtaining all the map effect tiles first before challenging these targets, if you can help it, since those map effects will also apply to these target battles and can make them easier. Plus, the effects granted by clearing a target tile only affect the boss in the goal tile, so they won't help you with the rest of your progression on the map, whereas the map effects will. So there's no reason to rush the targets. Healing tiles will heal up to 5 of your damaged cards to 50% of their HP. The cards chosen by this tile will be random, so you might be blessed by RNG or you might not, but getting any kind of healing will be beneficial to your overall progress. These tiles are the least prevalent on the map, so use them strategically. I like leaving them for right before the target battles if I can help it, so that I can withstand them better and keep most cards possible alive for the finale. When and where you use these will largely depend on how well you're doing, and some of the later maps have more than one, so if you need to use it earlier, go for it. You can also check your healable cards from the screen regardless of whether you are near the tile, just in case you're curious. Revive tiles will revive up to 3 of your fainted cards to 50% of their HP. The cards chosen are random again, so this is a very strategic tile. If a lot of your R and SR cards have fainted, then the odds of your SSR being revived will be slim. But if you've only got 4 or 5 fainted cards, then you're more likely to have the one you want or need revived. But you don't necessarily want to use this tile immediately either, since the cards you revive could faint again if you've still got a decent chunk of the map left, so use your best judgment with these. Outside of the tiles, there are a few icons and other symbols present on the map that you'll want to know about. The first is this counter, which shows how many of the tiles you've successfully completed out of the total number of tiles available. There are special missions during the Arcane Combat Drills that will reward you for getting a majority of the tiles cleared. So if you're interested in those rewards, make sure you've got the required amount of cleared tiles before taking on the goal. The gold tile will also count for this total, so if you're just one off before the boss, you'll still hit your target when you finish the map and clear the gold tile. So keep that in mind as well. Under the counter is the card library icon. This will display all of the cards you can use on this map based on the character choices you made before starting. You'll also be able to see the HP status of any of these cards in this screen, so if you want to check up on anyone in particular and don't want to tap on the heal tile lest you accidentally use it, you can check everybody's HP or fainted status from here. Under that is the heart icon, and this is where you can use your retry tickets or gems to revive and heal up to 5 cards of your choice. Unlike the tiles, using these resources will fully restore the cards to their maximum HP, so you'll presumably be able to use them for a few more battles. Plus, you'll be able to select the exact card you want, which can be super useful. Unfortunately, this will consume your precious resources. So again, use your best judgment and perhaps try out one of the tips in the end of this video to circumvent needing to use this feature too much. After that is the pen icon, which houses all of the map and boss effects you've gathered to date. The gold ones will show you the map effects, and the silver ones will show you the boss effects. However, the subtitle text will also tell you what these do and what type of battle they apply to, so you can also read that as well. Last in the sidebar is the chest icon, which shows all of the rewards you've collected so far. These rewards are held in the chest until you complete the map, at which point they are then added to your inventory. If you're curious about what you've gathered and what rewards are still on the table, you can compare this list to the map reward preview on the main event page. This will also show how many of the repeatable rewards you've collected as well, so it can be nifty in that way too. On the other side of the map screen, you'll see the map menu button and the advancement point counter. The map menu button will bring up the map menu. Shocking, I know. And from here, you can review your team information, just in case you forgot which characters you selected. You can't change these characters once you start the map, so all this really does is let you look at them. If you wanted to do that, I don't think I ever used this feature until collecting footage, but you know, you do you. There is also a map info button which gives you the map overview, which is just the win condition and the bonus feature if applicable. So this is also a screen that I have not used once until collecting footage. Next is the overview button, which is the in-game tutorial for the event, just in case you need a refresher while playing. And the last button is the reset map button. If you select this button and hit OK, all of your progress will reset and you will not be refunded your movement points. So I do not recommend doing this. Any progress you've made is better than starting all over again with 2 points to your name, even if the final battle is proving to be challenging. Except, if for some reason you come to the conclusion that you will never, ever be able to finish a given map, no matter how hard you try, then using this button will let you escape it, and then you can tackle the previous challenges for the repeat reward farming instead. Map movement is the last bit of the menu that we need to talk about, and this will change the movement speed of Grim or whoever is representing you on the map. Change this to fast. Trust me, this is a non-negotiable step. You want Grim to be as fast as possible, especially when you get to the bigger maps and he is crawling to your target location from all the way downtown. Next to the map menu, you have the moves counter, which will show how many advancement points you have out of the total possible points. You can tap on this to either use gems or tickets to refresh these points if you are below 10. Move tickets will restore 1 single movement point, while gems will restore 10, so be aware of that difference when using these items. You'll also be able to see the countdown timer in this page to see how long it'll take for these to replenish naturally. One thing to note about refreshing these movement pieces is that if you are taking on a map for the first time, you get an automatic 10-point refresh the moment that you start it. So now that you know what the event is and how to navigate the UI, we've got one last detail to cover before we can move on to strategy, and that's the VIP card. This is a very special card that, for the duration of the event, can be used in every battle map without taking up a character slot in your map roster. But it can only do so after being obtained from the limited time mirror banner. If you do not have the card, it won't show up to support you, and if you do get it, it will only be as strong as you can make it. That said, the VIP card does also receive a bit of a stat boost during the event, which can make it very effective in battle. On the surface, this can seem like a really good deal, no? And for folks who want to pick up Crowley or Cruel or whoever the featured card is, the deal is good. However, the VIP card is not necessary to clear the battle maps. Do not spend hundreds of dollars on a card that you do not want just to try to clear a battle map, because once the next Arcane Combat Drill rolls around, Crowley, or whoever was the last VIP card, will no longer be the VIP, and will not have the same stat boosts. These cards can be great pickups if they fit into your team or you enjoy learning about the characters since they have vignette stories, and they are helpful during the event, sure, but I cannot stress enough just how unnecessary they are if the only reason you're summoning them is the Arcane Combat event. Your money is way more valuable in your pocket than in a PNG, so if you're trying to save for someone else, please do not fall victim to the shiny VIP label. I beg of you, as a mainly free-to-play girly, do not get suckered in by this charm. That said, you do have free will, and I cannot stop you from getting these cards. And if this is something that you desire in your heart of hearts, that is fine. That's the reason I picked up the bird, even though he doesn't fit into my team comps and completely wiped out my gem bank. But I do want you to be aware of the pitfalls before you pull so that you're aware of what the VIP label actually means and where it is tied to. It's also important to note that these events are end-game content and are meant to be really, really hard so that players who have been around for a long time can challenge themselves. New players can absolutely take on these challenges and receive many of the rewards. However, it would weigh on my conscience if I did not warn you new players that picking up the VIP card is not going to magically negate your struggles or become your one-way ticket to completing all of the maps. This single card, in my experience, will not be able to solo carry you through to the last map if the rest of your card library isn't built up, let alone carry you across that last map by itself. So again, do not feel pressured or like you have to get this card to do well in the event. Just do your best with what you have, and perhaps, maybe you want to employ some of the strategy that I'm going to share. Speaking of, let's talk about that general strategy for the map completion. I learned a lot during the first Arcane Combat with Crowley and can confidently recommend a few things you can do to boost your chances of success. First things first, make sure the characters you are taking into these maps have two qualities. They should have synergy amongst one another, including HP buddy bonuses, since these can negate damage from battles, and you should have a decent quantity of cards in your library for that character. There are a ton of tiles and a ton of battles in these events, so you'll inevitably be burning through a few cards. If you have only one riddle card and it faints, you're now unable to use an entire character, and any buddy bonuses that require riddle can no longer be achieved. If you have 10 riddle cards and one faints, you can swap in another of the 9, no problem, and you can still get those bonuses. So try to ensure you've got enough compatible cards for each map. Once you've decided on your characters and have entered into the map, the first thing you want to do, even before you start taking tiles, is to plan out your route. Each map will present new challenges and new paths, and while it can be tempting to go straight for those chests, I found it's much more beneficial to target map effect tiles right from the start. Getting these as soon as you can will make all of the other battle challenges on the map a bit easier, so planning a route which will let you get these first with the least amount of extra battles can help you tackle everything else. Along the way, if you can unlock some other useful tiles like healing or items, then that'll be less work for future you. Once you have your route planned, you're going to start your journey by mainly using R and SR cards, swapping in 1 or 2 SSRs in the final maps. You'll want to start with these lower rank cards so that they can tank a majority of the damage from the map, leaving your SSRs fresh and ready for the really difficult battles. If you use your best SSR cards at the start, you're likely to faint them as you're going through, and then you'll be at the mercy of revive tiles or retry tickets, and that's not super sustainable. Instead, if you use your R or SR cards and they happen to faint, you can just swap in another one and keep going. On this note, if a target battle or the boss battle appears too intimidating, you can throw a team of SR cards at them to chip down their HP. All battles will retain the reduced HP for your next attempt, so instead of a boss starting with 100,000 HP, they'll start with 60,000 or so, or whatever the heck you get them down to, which is much more manageable. Strategic sacrifices for boss chipping is a very valid strategy and is the only way that I passed the last map during Crowley's drill. But this strategy also applies to all battles, so if there is a stubborn reward tile, you can also chip there too. I recommend only chipping if you have to, as you don't want to burn through too many cards early and be left without any resources for the boss. And I've heard that if you take too long to finish the battle, the HP will reset back to full, so be careful. I got 4 rounds deep on that last boss battle and was fine, but again, just be careful. And finally, most importantly, have fun. These events are frustrating by design, but there are things you can do to mitigate your frustration, and if you start out with a good strategy, you can make it pretty far. The first 3 maps are considered the easy ones, and if you complete them, you'll have received an SSR perfume. Tackle all the maps and you essentially get a free SSR in the form of perfume. But that's pretty darn generous, all things considered. And if not, you'll still have gotten a lot of rewards along the way. While this strategy should work in the majority of cases, there are a few other tips and tricks and general reminders that we should cover before you go. Firstly, change your map speed to fast. Trust me, this is an essential step, especially for the bigger maps when you're bouncing around quite a bit. You only have to do this once, and it's just an amazing improvement, so please, change your map speed. Make sure that you're using all of your R and SR cards first, as well as chipping down enemy HP when necessary. All is fair in love and war. Do not let your ego get in the way of the rewards. Crowley will not tell you how proud he is of your accomplishments, and I'm still mad about it. So there's no shame in playing a little dirty when you need to. This is NRC after all. When attempting a new map for the first time, you'll be given a full advancement point refresh. If you just finished a map and have no advancement points left, make sure to start the next one so you don't waste any time. Unlike LP, you cannot exceed the 10-point cap. So if you wait to start the next map, you'll be losing not only points, but time too. For instance, if you gained 5 points by waiting around and then started the new map, you'd only receive 5 more points to fill the bank of 10, not the full 10 points from the free refresh, because the bank will max out at 10 and won't go past that to 15. Because of this, and because points take forever to accumulate, getting that refresh when you're low on points is not only economical, but will help you out in the long run. I also recommend turning notifications on for this event because the sooner you can use your advancement points, the sooner you'll be able to get more of them, and you're going to want to optimize this cycle, particularly if you're having a bit of trouble with the battles and or if you're using the cheese method without movement tickets. So what is a cheese method? I'm so glad you asked. If a battle is going south and you don't want to lose HP or, faint your cards, just hit the Great Parmesan button. Just do it. There's no shame in this at all. All is fair in love and war, so if you can use this to your advantage, do it. And if you do choose to add some Parmesan into the mix, it'll be like the battle never even happened, so your cards won't lose any HP. However, the advancement point you use to attempt the battle will still be used, and any chip damage will also be gone. However, this is such a small price to pay, it's almost negligible, especially if you've saved up those advancement tickets from the previous maps that you get for free as rewards. So if you're struggling or just can't get the right team comp to tackle a certain battle, add in some cheese. I did this so many times during the final map of Crowley's event once folks told me about this savory little secret, and let me tell you, my frustration was mitigated so quickly, and it made the whole map way easier since I wasn't just burning through cards to make progress. If you're going to make use of this cheese though, make sure you hit the menu button fast enough to actually get out before the battle's over, otherwise you still might lose some cards. Now, as of recording, this strategy still works and you can still add some Parmesan to your battles. However, there may be a patch in the future where this no longer applies. I'm not entirely sure. I don't think that'll happen because it hasn't happened for the battle maps in Book 7 either. But if the developers choose to leave it in, then it is just a gameplay feature, and if it's a gameplay feature, make use of it. And with that, the only thing left to do is go out there and enjoy the event. tackle those battles, and get all the rewards your heart desires. I hope you all found this guide helpful. If you did, feel free to let me know down below, and if you'd like more content like this, please let me know that too. It would also mean the world to me if you could like this video, maybe even subscribe, and comment your favorite type of cheese if you have one, because as much as I like Parmesan, I'm also a bit partial to brie and cheddar, and now I'm hungry and only thinking about cheese, but so it goes. Anyways, before you go, I'd just like to remind you that you're amazing, and I hope you have a wonderful day.